Hi everybody, welcome back to PhotoRec.tv. I want to talk about the June Lightroom release. There's actually features and functions in it. It's not just new cameras and lenses that have been added. Let's talk about it. All right, I want to take a look at some of these new features and functions and just demonstrate how they work, especially the Hue Adjustment slider and the ISO Variant preset. These are pretty dang cool. So as I slide over here, I'll just remind you, photorec.tv/Lightroom for hours-long content and training on all things Lightroom, completely free. All right, first up, performance improvements. They are mentioning that you're going to see scrolling through catalog grid improvements, especially in larger catalogs, as it says here. Searching and filtering large numbers of collections should be faster, and scrubbing edit sliders in developed modules. I've been using Lightroom all day, and it seems about the same to me. It's definitely not slower, which is good, because sometimes these updates bring slowness. Not this time. But let's move on to the UI improvements. And of course, please, I'm really interested to hear what you all think. Have you seen speed improvements? I think that's the #1 complaint about Lightroom. I'd love to know if you're actually seeing improvements on your machines. And as we get to any of these features, let me know what you're most excited about. UI improvements. So this means is the tone curve. It's got a little facelift. It works and functions exactly the same, but I think it's a lot friendlier looking and a little bit easier to use. So you've got the little color channels available to you right here at the top. Clicking each of those allows you to move through each of those channels. And of course, you can then grab the curve and manipulate it as you want. When you right click now, you can say snap to grid. You can also have it show you all the curves. So as I move the green channel curve, you can see behind it a straight line that represents any other curves I haven't moved. I can move over to the blue channel, grab this one down, and now you can see that that's sitting there. And I move back to the red channel. There's the blue, there's the green. They're all right there. Right-clicking again, I could say reset channel or reset all channels to bring them all back into alignment. So minor adjustments, but still pretty cool. And of course, you do have a little dropper where you can come over here and say, what tonal range is this in? Well, we're kind of seeing it right in the middle. We should see this jump down into the shadow. So now you can click and drag up or down to manipulate that tonal range directly within the photo. So that's pretty nifty. And also similar, we have in the color panel an update to the little colors across the top. Again, only aesthetics, no real change to how this works, but we have some updates there. Along with that, we've got now the sync cloud button has moved over here with its little window that tells you what's going on. And what else was there? That's it. That's all of them. So let's move on to the local hue adjustment. This is pretty nifty, especially if you combine it with a color range mask. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So we've got my little Lego dude with his teal or aqua colored hat right here. In the local area adjustments, graduated filter, radial filter, or brush. Let's do the radial filter. You have the hue adjustment slider. I can put a little radial filter on the Lego hat. I got to hit the invert button so that will be on the hat itself. Hit the O key so you can see where it's affecting. And now if I grab this slider, you can see that I can easily adjust the hue of where I put that local area adjustment. Now there is some bleed over. Poor guy, he's having a bad day there with his red face. Let's bring this up. And so we can kind of adjust it so that there isn't too much bleed over. But that's a little messy. I mean, this is a nice, easy solution because we've got a Lego dude here with clear edge lines. What if they weren't so clear? Well, that's where you bring in the color mask. This isn't new, but combining these two things together is a new power tool. So I'm going to grab my dropper after I chose range mask color, and I'm just going to click on this hat. Look at how it peeled off his face. Right, I'm going to undo that for a second. Right now, that range is being thrown around right here. But when I get the color mask or range mask by color, it limits it to the color of the hat. And now it so nicely is only on the hat. That is powerful. And we can, of course, adjust this and get some other colors going on. What happens when you check the fine adjustment? It moves this much, much more slowly and more precisely. So that gives you some fine hue adjustments right there. And it's cool because when we put this anywhere else, it doesn't affect anything because that color doesn't exist there. It only exists on the hat. Wait, oh, I gotta put it back. There we go. Make it different and then prove my point. We put it over these other spots and we don't see a change because it is limited to only the color of the hat because we limited it through the range mask. That's really a nifty and powerful feature. And as I said, this new hue adjustment slider can be found under all 3 of the local area adjustment tools. Pretty nifty. All right, let's move on and talk about the ISO adaptive presets. This is a big step forward in smarts for Lightroom. Here's the thing, in the past, when you applied a preset, let's say you did your whites to 20 and your clarity 15 and your noise reduction to 50, any image you applied that to, it applied those values the same for all of the images, no matter what ISO they are, or ISO. Do you care? I don't really care how to pronounce it. But now, with this update, you can say an ISO 100 image gets a different set of numbers than an ISO 1600 or ISO 6400 image. This allows you to have one preset that does pretty much everything you need it to and is smart about how it does that. Let's look at how to build it. And I will say this, on the Lightroom blog, they have 2 sample presets that you can download and try out. So I'd recommend you go grab those, download them, and I'll even show you how to text edit them in a moment if you want for another way to create these. But let me show you the way that they recommend that you create. Okay, let's start with this ISO 100 image. All right, so I'm going to up the texture to 30 and the clarity to, let's say 10. And then now down in the detail panel, sharpening I've put at 80, radius 1.2. That's a little bit more aggressive than I would typically, but I just want you to be able to see these changes. No noise reduction is needed on an ISO 100 image typically, so I'm not going to do any to this image. Now I've got another image in this catalog that is very similar, and ISO 4000. You can see it's a good bit different. It's a little bit noisier. It's already been adjusted up here, so let me reset real quick. And on this image, I'm just going to raise the texture less. I don't want to really texturize a high ISO image because that's going to exaggerate any noise. And clarity, I'm going to leave down at 5. Down here in the detail panel, sharpening I'll leave on their default amounts, maybe even bring the masking up a little bit by holding down the Alt key. You can kind of see that. Some of these, I'll be honest, really are still very much image dependent. Even if it's a different ISO, doesn't necessarily mean 2 ISO 1600s are going to get masked the same amount. So this isn't some magic one-click fix for everything, but it is a nice step forward. Here's where I'm really going to do some work though. Noise reduction. I am going to apply, let's say 50 noise reduction for this image. At ISO 4000, I think that's a fair amount. And you can see that's cleaned up the image a decent amount. Here's what it looked like originally, especially in the gray and the lighter. You can see a lot of that noise. And then after ISO 50. So now I need to select both of these images. I'm going to hold down Command. I have both selected ISO 200 and ISO 4000. Or sorry, ISO 100 and ISO 4000. Now I'm going to go to the preset, Create Preset. And I'm going to call this ISO Variant Test. I already have one. Let's call it 2. This box is checkable. If this box is not checkable, you need to make sure you're selecting more than one image, and those images have to be a different ISO value. And let's see, I did some basics in tone. Did I actually? No, I don't think so. I only did texture and clarity. Doesn't really matter. And sharpening and noise reduction. So those I've selected in here. Now I'm going to click Create. So you say, okay, well, is this only going to apply to images that are ISO 100 and ISO 4000? What about all of the other images, ISOs that I typically shoot at? Here's what's pretty cool. I selected 2 images on either side of a pretty big range of ISO. If I come over to these images I shot earlier, this one is ISO 800. I can open up the basic panel. Nothing's been done to it yet. I come over to my ISO variant test. I click, and notice that it's set the texture to 24 and the clarity to 7. Down in the detail panel, there's some sharpening and some noise reduction. So what it did is it looked at those two other images that I used to set my range, and it decided mathematically in between them what made the most sense for an ISO 800 image. If you don't like that, you could select an image at each ISO and precisely set your settings. That was a lot of settings. But you could say exactly what you want an ISO 800 to get. But this is what I just created. And so, of course, I can click. Let's go up here to, where are we? An ISO 4000. Let's do the ISO 2000. And let's do our ISO variant test. So you can see a little bit less sharpening, a little bit more noise reduction. Because this ISO is higher, it's applying those. And we go up into the basic panel, we can see that texture is down to 21 and clarity's at 6. This is pretty nifty. Again, it allows it to be a lot smarter, and if you're bringing in a high ISO image and applying a preset to all of them at once, you only have to do that once, it's going to be smarter about that. Now, what you can do is, let's go to their sample ISO dependent 2 and 3. If I right click on this and say show in Finder, then you can right click on it, and if you've got any kind of text editor, BB Edit is a great free one on Mac, you can open it up and you can see exactly what it's doing. And this is where you can create more as well. So this little section right here, you can see ISO 6400. Well, it's going to do smoothing at 30, color noise reduction 15, sharpen edge masking 25, noise reduction smoothness 100, black level, clarity level 10 and 10. Sorry, negative 10. Get the idea? So now you can actually copy this, change that ISO to whatever amount you want, 800, and then change these values. And so you could just copy and paste that several times over and then save this, quit Lightroom, reopen it, and bam, you have a preset that's going to be specific for every single level of ISO that you're bringing in, or do it the first way I showed, where you can bring in and select the high range and the low range, and then it will mathematically figure out in between that. So that's the ISO variant or ISO adaptive presets. One other, or let's real quick hit these last ones as we wrap up here. Center to crop overlay. So when you go into the R tool, I like the rule of thirds. You hit the O key and it switches between your different overlays, and there's a new one, center. All right. So that's all there is to say about that. And if you didn't notice yet, new default presets. Over here on the left-hand side, we now have different presets for the color and landscape and portrait, plus with lens profiles applied, plus noise reduction. What I would strongly recommend is you build your own with lens profiles built in and the noise reduction based on the ISO variance. Why not? Because it's going to just work that much better for you. And the very last thing, of course, support for new cameras and lenses, as we often get. And that's it. That's a look at these features that Lightroom has added today, June 16th, 2020. If you found this video helpful, give it a quick thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe along with hitting that little bell so that you will be notified of future videos, tips, tricks, how to travel, and whatever else I throw up on this channel. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.